Okay, well, this is the second video on how to play chess. In this video, we'll start talking about the way the pieces capture, and also about check and checkmate. What is the difference? What does it mean? Again, I apologize for my previous video that I didn't complete the king movement, and I made a correction video for that. Please watch those. So we're going to start off with the rook. How do pieces capture? Well, as you already know, the rook moves horizontally and vertically in any direction up to as far as it can go. So right now, this white rook can capture any of these pawns. Okay. Now when the rook does capture, or any piece for that matter, it cannot go any further than that piece that it lands on to capture. In other words, this rook cannot go to that square. If it captures the black pawn, that's where he ends up. Same goes for this white king, actually, can capture that pawn. And if you have one of your own pieces in your way, you cannot move to that square. Can't land on a square of your own piece. So the black king cannot go to this square. Okay? That's an example. That goes for really all the pieces. Oops, sorry about that. Let's do that again. Okay. So the rook moves horizontally and vertically in any direction. It can capture in that same way. And any piece, including the rook, cannot go any further than that piece that he lands on. Okay? And just like I said before, the rook can go any of these directions unimpeded. But he has his own pawn in his way here. So we can't go past this square. Cannot land on this square that I highlighted. Okay? And I'm going to show you that for every piece. But since I had the rook, this is the example I'm using. Okay? And now for the bishop. Right now, this white bishop can capture that black pawn. It can capture that black pawn. It cannot go to this square. It cannot go to this or this square. Because when it captures that pawn, that's where it has to end up. And when it captures this pawn, that's where it ends up. Cannot go past it. He can if he wants to go here, here, because bishops move at an angle. Same goes for the black bishop. The black bishop can capture this white pawn, and he can't go any further. But he can go here. He could also go here, and he could also go as far as here. Any of these squares. Okay. He cannot capture this pawn. The bishops only move at an angle, so therefore this pawn is safe. And the same goes for the white bishop. This pawn is safe. This black pawn is safe from that white bishop. That bishop cannot go to that square because the bishops only move at an angle. the knights. I already explained to you how the knights move, L shape. All these white pawns that I placed on this board are in this knight's path. So this knight can capture each and every one of these pawns, one at a time, of course. So yes, this knight can capture that one, because the knight, of course, as you know, can move there, it can move there, there. Okay. If there was a pawn anywhere on these other squares, they would be safe. The knight cannot go anywhere else except for where I highlighted in red. Okay. The queen, because she moves like a rook, and she moves like a bishop, one way at a time, of course, she can capture this pawn, or this pawn, or this one, and so on. She would not be able to capture anything that was sitting here, etc. Anywhere in her path, whether it be at a diagonal, or at a horizontal, or a vertical. That's where the queen moves, so therefore that's where she can capture. Same goes for all the other pieces. The capturing piece lands on the piece being captured, only in the way that the piece can move. It's not like checkers. Nothing jumps over something to take. Even the knights. With the knight, you don't jump over to take. You land on the space that you're taking. I'll go back to the knight right now just to make sure you understand that. So now, the knight can capture this pawn and this pawn, but the knight cannot capture this pawn. The knight moves two spaces and then one. That would be jumping over that pawn, but the knight does not capture that pawn. All chess pieces capture by landing on the space that they're on. So therefore, knight can take that black pawn and that black pawn. Okay? Make sure you look at it. If you have any questions, don't be afraid to ask. Okay, so that leads me to what is check and what is checkmate. The king has to be protected at all times. Check is when you are in danger of your king being captured. So, white king right now is in check. In chess, when someone puts you in check, that is when they threaten to capture your king, you can't do anything else except get out of it. You have to move that king. Or you have to block the check if you have a piece that you can block it with. But you have to get out of check. If you can't move anywhere, if you can't block it with anything, that would be checkmate. So this is check. Black king is not in check. The white king is. Okay?
King e1, e2, bishop h4, f6.
Okay? See how that works? Okay, so again, what is check and what is checkmate? Again, the white king is in check by the queen. But you, playing black, would not want to do this, because this is not checkmate. The king can capture this queen. The king can capture in any direction, one space at a time. So it was foolish of black to put the king in check this way. Because now I'm just going to take the black queen.
King f1 takes queen f2. King e8, d7.
Okay? If you notice that screen that came up that said insufficient material, that means that in this game there is not enough pieces to checkmate either side. That means it's a draw, but we'll get into that later. Okay. Looks the same, doesn't it? But it's not. Nice clock. What do you see that's different? Well, what we have here, I have a bishop. The black actually has a bishop. The bishop, black's bishop, is protecting black's queen. The king cannot move anywhere where it would still be in check. So I cannot capture the queen right now, because even if I tried, the black's bishop will still be putting me in check. So I can't do that anymore. This is checkmate, because no matter where I go, I'll still be in check. I can't go here because the queen, I can't go here because of the queen, I can't go here, etc. Because the queen is controlling all the squares, and the queen herself is being protected by her bishop. This is checkmate. Game over. Okay, so knowing now how to capture, let's talk about the illegalities of putting your king in check. The king, as you know, moves one space in any direction, as my correction video pointed out. So, for example, you know that this king can capture this pawn, and the white king can capture that pawn. Okay? But the king cannot move itself into check. That would be illegal. Your whole job for the whole game is to keep yourself from getting checkmated and keeping the king from being able to be captured. So it is illegal, obviously, for the whole purpose of the game to put yourself in check. You can't do it. If you do it, it's an illegal move. It has happened where people move the piece out of the way of an opponent's piece and without seeing it, like a distant bishop or something like that, and ends up being an illegal move. If you're playing against the computer will automatically tell you. But sometimes when you're playing a game, you know, I've done it 1,000 times already. I'm playing a game and I move a piece and I realize that I made an illegal move, and sometimes we don't realize it until 3 moves later, and then the whole game is ruined. But let's just look at that for now. For example, I cannot move. If I was playing black, I have a pawn. White has a pawn here. This king cannot move here. See, if you hear the whistle, yeah, let me turn that up for a second. Okay, the computer tells you that that's an illegal move. Okay, the same goes for the white king, the black pawn, this black pawn. Actually, that pawn's about. No, I did that wrong, but that's okay. This black pawn here, I can't go here.
King e6, d7. King d4 takes pawn e4.
I did that wrong. I'm sorry, my mistake. I meant to move it here. I cannot go here. You see, I can go here because this black pawn is on its way in this direction. But this pawn, because pawns can capture this way, the king cannot go here. Okay, so you can't put your king in check. The same reason why you can't bring two kings together, because the kings capture in all directions. So I can't go there. See? In other words, the white king cannot move here. The black king cannot move here, because that would be bringing two kings together, and that would be putting each other in check. That's illegal. You cannot do that. Okay? That's important because what we have here is opposing kings. And in an endgame, this is a very important idea. Opposing kings, when you put your king in opposition of your opponent's king during the endgame and you only have a couple pawns left, there's some technical, tactical moves that you can make in order to outflank your opponent, in order to get your king promoted, your pawn promoted to a queen. So I think I'm going to end this video the way it is, except for this diagram here. I'm going to show you this. In the next videos, we're going to start to talk about more about checking and checkmating. Here's an example of a simple checkmate. The black king, has buried himself behind his pawns and has not allowed himself to escape. One way to do that is to move a pawn up or something like that. But if it's white's turn, this is checkmate. And you can see that the screen says mate, because the king has nowhere to go. The white rook, is threatening to capture the king, and the king cannot do anything about it. It is the king's job, the player's job, to keep the king safe. If you can't get out of it, if you can't put anything in the way, for example, if black had a knight or something to that effect, you could move the knight, say it was here, black would be able to move the knight here and block the check. That would not be mate. But there's no other pieces on the board. The black is buried behind his pawns, and the rook just moved to the back rank and checkmated black. So that's a very basic, what they call a back rank checkmate. But we'll talk about more of that on the next two videos, perhaps the next three videos. I'm going to start to piece together some better lessons. Again, these are all raw. I have not edited these, so you have to excuse the rawness of them. It's a little bit of a hassle to try and use the video editor from YouTube, but I am getting used to it. Still need some more practice. So for now, we'll deal with these raw videos, and you have to pardon the rawness of them. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you're learning. If you have any questions, please comment. Click like if you like. Click not like if you don't like. Thanks for watching, and keep on playing.